Hello.
Hello.
So we're going to talk today about the type of help there is out there for mental health issues like depression and anxiety, things like that. So
OCD.
So I had some trauma in my life a couple of years ago, and I got referred to a neuropsychologist, and she gave me a sheet of paper with positive thinking on it, and it was things like name 3 things that you appreciate every day, think about good things and you'll get better.
That's what you thought that.
Yeah, doesn't work. So Jen is going to tell you about another way that will really help you.
Well, one of the things that mainstream help offers is mind-based therapies.
Yeah.
Mind-based therapies, and I'd like to say it does have a place, but in the medium to long term, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
One of the good things, though, about seeing someone is that just by talking can help you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because you are expressing who you are.
Yeah.
Not because of what.
And you feel like you're being understood.
Yes. So the situation you're in is actually good because you've got a safe space and time to say.
And you're experiencing love and care as well.
Yes.
This person obviously wants to help you.
Yes. So that can make you feel good.
Yeah.
So in the short term and in a crisis scenario, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we're not slating anything. It's just like
for
a long-term solution.
For a medium to long term, though,
it's not.
It won't keep you going for much longer when you leave that office.
Yeah.
So it is good to talk because you are being valued and being listened to and being appreciated. But the answer that they give you with a mind-based therapy only helps you literally change your mind. And really, all mental health is about what you feel.
Yeah.
So changing your mind
isn't too helpful.
No, it's not. It can have a short term.
It's a good coping mechanism, and
Yeah.
it's a good way of having an outlet to express how you feel.
Yeah.
And learning different ways to cope with the panic attacks or like the really
symptoms.
down day. Yeah, the symptoms of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it can deal with the symptoms, but it doesn't actually get to the point, which is what you feel. And this is why people tend to go round and round in circles. People tend to
in therapy for years.
For years and years and years. Yeah. And I actually know some professionals in this field who are very well intentioned and don't like handing out antidepressants over and over again, but because of their profession they can't actually do much else, because in the mainstream
you get
NHS
options, and then you get to pick from the options. You don't create your own solution for the individual.
Great. And one of the things that we talk about in the energy dynamic model is that it's not about finding the answer, it's about creating your own solution. And the way we create our own solutions is that we learn, number one, about how our mind works, how who we are works, how what our feels do, and how the environment affects that. That is a huge help as a first step, because you have knowledge, and knowledge gives you power, and you have an understanding. And what I describe it as is, if you drive a car and you don't know the highway code,
then you can drive that car, but you would really struggle.
Because you don't know what the signs mean. You don't know what's a no entry sign.
You'll keep on crashing into people because you don't know when to stop.
Exactly.
You don't know like the social etiquette, I guess.
You don't know the rules of the road, and you're just randomly in the car, and you're spending all your effort on trying to understand what's going on.
And trying to run.
Yeah.
When you don't know what's happening.
Yes, exactly. So it's all drama, crisis,
Yeah.
panic, and that's why with the mind therapy they'll say, oh, well, instead of panicking, you can think positively. So you're thinking positively about being
panicking.
in chaos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is great. But you're still living in chaos.
Yes, yes. So it's just positive.
Yeah, it's
you're
like,
just being positive about it.
It's like having a garden, and then there's loads of weeds in the garden, and to deal with it, you just put a cloth over it. And you're like, there we go.
Or you can think, actually, I like that weed, when really,
yeah, maybe it's not a weed at all.
Or maybe it's not a weed at all. Exactly. Maybe it's not a weed at all. That's sort of down the line we might come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But at the moment when it's like, oh my goodness, I want that flower bed to be full of marigolds and there's a weed there, instead of panicking and shouting at your partner, which is a negative, the mind-based therapies will say, well, let's be positive, there's only one weed. Hence, you won't shout at your partner. And
but you'll still feel bad.
Absolutely, of course you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so you're just taking away the reaction.
Yes.
You're still feeling everything that is happening.
Yeah.
You're just taking away the reaction.
Yes. You're making a reaction a positive one instead of a negative one.
Yeah.
But so if you understand how you work, then you can then see things stop being so chaotic.
Yeah.
You can then start to see what is actually happening without having an emotional reaction. And then, and then you can start to go back to the car journey. So once you understand what the road signs mean, once you understand what a no entry sign is, once you understand that you drive on the left, not the right, you can then start to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And you can start to think, oh, I could go somewhere that will make me feel good, rather than being in a constant drama of just negotiating the road. And that's why people can't often see the bigger picture, because they're too busy panicking, either negatively or positively, about the actual moment of being in that car in the traffic when they don't really know what's happening. Whereas when you understand what's going on, you can think, well, okay, I know what's happening, I know what I need, where I need to go, and I'm just going to cruise along until I get there, because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the awareness of how the mind works, how feels work, who you are in your environment, how the knowledge of that is a huge first step to getting a grasp on the old mental health. That's a huge first step.
Yeah.
So, and the mind-based therapy doesn't do that. The mind-based therapy tells you how your mind works. And as Evie and I were saying earlier, that's great, but your mind is only one element of yourself. You have your who you are, you have your feels, you have your environment, and then you have your mind.
Yeah.
So to just focus on the mind, which is separate from the feels, no matter what anyone says, the mind is separate from feels. So if you only concentrate on your mind, the other three are ignored, and you're not focusing on them. Hence, they tend to not change or get worse. Hence, the need for more mind therapy.
Yeah.
So the first thing we do is to understand that there's 4 things we look at. And then the second thing we do is to start to work on the feel scores.
Yeah.
Because what happens is our mind is a product of what we feel. It doesn't create what we feel. Yeah. And this is another myth that I'd like to explode, is that mainstream ideas tend to assume or what's the word, that they tend to, well, assume, I suppose, that everything is about the mind and the power is in the mind. And I would say, if that's the case, if the power is in your mind, then that's because that's all you're focusing on.
And it's too powerful.
It's too powerful.
If your mind, because your mind is so powerful, it can affect your body. It can make you sick.
Yeah.
So if you are living in your mind all of the time and it's making you sick, you need to get out of it.
Yes.
And you need to go back into how you feel.
Yes.
And knowing and intuition.
Yes. Yes.
And actually doing things in the world, not talking about them and seeing, oh, not talking about the situation and then going and doing the situation again and then being like, so was that any different? No, because it's in the exact same situation.
And that's because you're not positive thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you're positive thinking,
then you would have thought about the situation
yes,
in a different way.
And then you would have had a different experience. But actually, no, you wouldn't have had a different experience. The experience would have been the same because it's what you feel. But what would have happened is your perception would have changed because you would have changed your mind.
Yeah.
Now, this is what mainstream science does. It says change your mind because then you'll change your perception. And that's true. But it doesn't change your experience. So all the time, you're squashing your experience up.
Yeah.
And so that's getting smaller. And as Evie said, your mind is getting more and more powerful because it's having to compensate for the squashed.
Yeah.
It's having to
still,
be really
you still
positive.
Need the same amount of energy to,
yes.
to work.
Yes. So the more you're squashed, the more positive you need to be.
Yeah.
So the understanding is important, and then changing that focus so your mind isn't that powerful,
yeah.
and what becomes powerful instead is you and your feel, and that's in your stomach area, and that's what you know, and that's your experience, and you can sit on that. And once you can sit on that, your mind will then calm down because your brain will have told your mind, oh, we're not having to panic anymore, be it positive or negative,
yeah.
because we're safe. And as soon as your brain knows it's safe, your mind calms down and you can start to gather up good feelings because you're open to it.
Yeah.
So CBT
it's not
and NLP
work.
And they're great for changing how you think.
How you think. Yeah, if you want to change how you think, then they're amazing.
Yes.
But if you are sad,
if you want to change how you feel,
if you are anxious, if you want to change how you feel, then you need to do something else. You need to work on how you feel. You can't think yourself out of sadness.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
No, it's not possible because sad is a feel and not a think. So they're actually on different vibrations. So yes, so the way we do make ourselves feel better is to understand all about feel scores and all about who you are, and creating an environment. Back to the garden.
Yeah.
Back to the garden.
Creating a pretty garden with all the flowers that you really like.
Yeah, and if there is a weed in it, not to worry about that.
Yeah.
And in fact, you could even leave it, because if you planted enough lovely flowers, in the end, and the weed will be quite happy.
Yeah.
And in the end, you won't even see it as an issue, because it's just not important.
Yeah.
Because you're not focusing on it.
Yeah, and it's your garden as well.
Yes.
So if you plant a flower that you really like, and someone comes along and says, "I don't like that flower," it doesn't matter. It's not their garden. It's your garden.
Yes. Yes.
If you let people
poke
you and try to change you and say that's not good, then you're just gonna be sad that you're not good enough.
Yes, and what we would suggest in an energy dynamic model isn't to get positive about that.
No.
What it is to do in a kind and humble way is to say, can you please leave my garden then?
Yeah, if you don't like it. There's plenty of other gardens.
There's plenty of other gardens. And also, how about understanding why I like my garden?
Yeah.
How about coming into my world and my truth and listening and valuing why I like it like this?
Yeah, because you don't have to... Understanding why someone else's plants lots of different flowers in their garden doesn't make your garden any different.
Yes, and everyone's garden has to be different, because everyone is different. Everyone has a different mind. Everyone has a different who they are. Everyone has different feels and experiences.
Which is beautiful.
And that's how it's supposed to be. And if everyone was like that, we'd all fit together in a big jigsaw piece.
Yeah. Because
that's how we're supposed to be, and that's how it was all designed. And what's got lost is because people have squashed that, and they're all in their mind. And and especially nowadays with
I like to blame capitalism because...
Well, the hive mentality. I was
Well,
going to blame social media then, actually.
I love blaming that one too, but no, I think it is genuinely where people have created, they've had ambition to do a thing, and then they're like, I need lots of people to do this thing for me. Let me categorise every job into little pieces. If it was just you doing what you were capable of, you wouldn't categorise things because everything would work together.
Yes.
So why do people split things up and go, you do that bit? Because that's not nurturing that person then.
Yeah.
You're squashing that person into that box.
Yeah.
And like, okay, I need a packaging person. You'll do. Let's put you into packaging, make it what you do. And if you don't do it right, I'm going to give you a big cross so you feel bad. So you'll want to do better at doing that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And to add to all that is, again, defining yourself by money, defining yourself by your role. This is all mind, you know. Do I have a nice car? Do I have a nice house? Blah, blah. That's all mind.
Yeah.
And then social media has a hive mind. So everyone is aspiring to be something, one thing, you know, depending on the fashion or the trend.
Yeah.
So they've left their garden. They've left their garden. And the thing about your own garden is that it's very intricate and it's very organic and it's very individuals. And you can only develop that. You can only develop who you are if you spend time in it. And if you actually, it's not something you can just do in 5 minutes. You have to do one bit and then wait for the sun, the rain.
Wait for it to grow.
And then you know, and then you grow a bit, and then you might change it. But it's an organic.
And then someone's garden might have overgrown over there, so you're like, oh, okay, I'm not getting enough sun.
Yes, that's right. So maybe I can have a pond there.
Yeah.
So it gets quite cooperative. You know, you can.
Yeah.
And eventually, everyone's little garden will become one whole experience.
Yeah.
Whereas if you cut all that off and say, never mind about all that, you need to earn money.
Yeah. You need to be in
because
this
in
role.
this society you need your money, which is true, unfortunately, although there are ways around that, but there are ways around that, so keep watching. So you then have to squash all the garden, all the who you are, all the fields, you have to squash all that. And as Evie said, once you squash that, your mind has to become very powerful because it has to make up for the fact that it can't feel. So you need lots of positive mind energy, and that's normally through your status, through earning money and doing what someone else is telling you, which again is encouraged by the education system, which is another story. So people are wandering around with these kind of huge mind energy needs, which is why if you take that off them, they get very, very angry. And that's why everyone's so emotional, because mind is emotion. If you
don't really mind about having a shabby car and you accidentally knock somebody's very nice shiny Jaguar, like I might have done earlier, then the other person is going to be really, really angry at you, and they will shout at you, and that is just not a normal reaction to something at all. But because society says you have a nice car, so you must have a nice job, so you must have a really nice life. Because you've taken away, like you've bashed his car, you've taken away that tick for him. So
that success, that
because he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know what he likes, he only knows what society likes. He goes, ah!
Yeah, they won't be able to deal with it because that their identity, which is supposed to be from who you are, is not there. So their role in society has taken over. I did an interesting chat about that the other day. Is that what's happened a lot is that people, instead of having an identity of who they are that reflects it and nourishes it and nurtures it, instead of that's cut off. So they now rely on their role to give them that sense of before, when we lived in a community and we felt things, we felt neighbours, we felt people, we felt you know. We didn't need a role because I was Jennifer and you were Evie.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, it's your role.
The first thing someone says is, "Oh, I'm a doctor."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, I'm a teacher."
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's what you do. That's not what you are.
Yes, it's what you do. It's not who you are. Now, the trick is to go down the line here. So, number one, understand this, as in mind, feel, who you are in environment, and really understand that your feels create your mind, not your mind creates feels, because it doesn't. It doesn't. Your mind affects your perception of reality. It doesn't create your experience of what's real.
Yeah.
So understand that, and then start to know who you are and your feels. And then when you do get the hang of that, you can then position yourself where people will value that.
Mm.
And once you position yourself where people value that, and this is where it really gets interesting, is that because of our society and because people give you money when they value you, if you've worked out who you are and you've positioned yourself so that you're in a good space where people value you, and I don't know, say you love bees and you're a beekeeper and you're doing that, you position yourself where people want to buy honey.
Yes.
And then they'll pay you for it.
Mm.
So,
and it's easy to position yourself once you know your environment, your situation, who you are, because it just is. It's really easy because you know you're not thinking of a strategy like planning everything out like, will this work? You just look up places and go to those places
and say, this is who I am.
Yeah, and then they go, oh, I like that, or they don't like that, and you go to somewhere else.
Exactly. So if they don't like it, we know that not we're wrong or they're wrong. It just, there's no connection.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a connection.
Ooh.
So
that's my friend, I think.
So on that note,
she's a bit early. She's half an hour early.
Bye bye.
Anyway, bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.